Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I haven't did a podcast episode in a while. Well, welcome back to Success is Complicated. I have a very special guest here today. Her name is Davielle Jackson, and I'm going to introduce her a little bit, but I'm going to let her do the formal introduction. But she is considered the millennial business mogul, and I'm going to leave it right there, Davi, because I want you to introduce yourself. Like, cause she's been in Forbes, every magazine that you can possibly think of. Like, if you are looking for her, you can find her on Google.
On Google. Yes. Anything you want to know, find me on Google. It'll tell you everything. But I am the CEO of Femi Secrets, which is a feminine health company. And I am a scientist by trade. And that's it.
A boss.
A boss.
So let's talk about Femi Secrets, because we'll eventually get into, the conversations that I like to have. But I want to talk about Femi Secrets because what you've been able to do is incredible. It's amazing. She's created the first chemical-free panty and pad combined for women.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about the Pretty Panty.
The Pretty Panty, I developed the Pretty Panty in 2015, patented it, and it was so needed in the market. So women were having leaks when they were on their cycle, of course, and nobody had fixed this issue for forever. Like, the man invented the tampon, and then that was it. And women are just running around in pain, and they're having leaks, and they're having UTIs, and they're having bacteria infections, etc. So I just basically said, that's enough. I created this product, which is extremely healthy. It's also pretty. It's disposable. It's environmentally friendly. I mean, it's just the best product. So when you use the Pretty Panty, you are eliminating 4 different products: pads, tampons, panties, liners, and then it's disposable. You throw it away and it's biodegradable. So you're saving money, you're saving time, and you're saving the environment.
I was reading, doing my research, and I saw something about fibroids. How does the Pretty Panty support women that struggle with fibroids?
Okay, excellent question. So when I started with the Pretty Panty, it was just to stop a woman from having leaks, right? To build her confidence during her period. But I noticed that my number one buyers were women with fibroids because they have the heaviest cycles.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so now I need to target these women because they are the ones who suffer the most. So they have the heaviest periods. So I had to make sure they were protected and they didn't have leaks. But when they started using the product, they started realizing that when they were using tampons, they was having cramps. They was having extreme pains, fetal position pain, crying pain. When they started using my products, they was like, why am I not having these same pains? Like, one husband was literally like, you saved my wife's life. Like, she was incapacitated during her periods. Yes. So the thing is, fibroids are internal. They're inside of your vagina, inside of your uterus, depending on where they're located. And when you put in things in there like tampons and chemicals, it's aggravating them. It's exacerbating them. So now they are growing more. Now they are hurting more. So when you take all of those things out, like the Pretty Panty, you eliminate all of those things that are aggravating fibroids, then you decrease the pain, you decrease their growth capacity, etc. So that's what was happening. So that's how we went from just being Femi Secrets Pretty Panty to Femi Secrets Health. I realized that I was affecting a woman's health and making her life easier.
Okay, so Femi Secrets is built around empowering the everyday woman.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct.
Okay. That's why I'm excited to talk to you.
Yes.
Because I was like, all right, how does my brand and what I do tie into Femi Secrets? And I always try to speak from a place of empowerment. I really believe in our resiliency and authenticity. And when I met you, all of those things, she's an open book. She shared without any regard, right? And before I get into capacity, because that's what I like to talk about,
Correct.
How do you grow to be able to handle more? And one of the things is you are a Black woman who is backed by private equity. What does it take to become a Black woman and have supporters backing you from an equity standpoint? Educate us a little bit, because even I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it's a big deal, but I don't know what it means.
Absolutely, it's a big deal. So, of course, it's 2% of women like me. maybe less than 2%, but less than 2% of women, let alone Black women, get funding from private equity firms. And it's so freaking hard to do that, I mean, when I started my company, I was like, one of the trailblazers in this space. Like, nobody was doing it. Wasn't a lot of women CEOs like me. I built my company in Atlanta, which was pretty much the entertainment industry. And when I was there and I would tell people what I was doing, it was so foreign to them. They would be like, oh, you really think you about to do this? You really think you about to go be a billionaire? You really think you about to be at Walmart? And they would, treat me as a woman instead of an entrepreneur. So when I'm in these building the private equity, like as you can see from my story, it just went on for so long. I mean, there's a couple of phases where you start with the family and friends investing, which is known as like a seed round. And then you go into the real investors once you create that traction, right?
Okay.
So I started off with a contract from Walmart, right? So immediately I had a customer base. Once you create that customer base, then the investors kind of say, okay, maybe she's serious. Let's see how long she can maintain this customer base. These are the things that they're looking at. So now you maintaining the customer base. Now I go get more funding through pitching competitions, which is also more private equity. And being that my product and my company was performing so well, now you got the money from the pitch competition, you got the seed round. Now private equity comes in and say, hey, I see this as a scalable business. You have traction, you have history. Now we can put money into you to take you to the next level.
Okay. So one of the things that I like about you, and I'm telling you now on this podcast, is you say it's hard, right? And I believe you. But like that's not necessarily what you're conveying to me. I know that it was hard. Like when you say that it's hard, like tell us, what does that look like? Like what did it take for you to become like more resilient? Because I know that in order to become and do what you've done, let's talk your evaluation, right? Your evaluation on your last time. No, you tell me.
So we're at 500 million now.
Right.
And so, that's where we are now.
Okay,
So
and
we'll project it to do $1 trillion once we release this Femi Secrets app.
Right. Like, give us some more context. And I'm not like victim, because that's not what that's not what I'm looking for. But like, what does it take when you talk about embracing vulnerability, having to go to family and friends and say, I need help because like I really believe that I can do this thing. Like, what does that look like? Take us through like that walk, like some more insight into like how you have become the woman that you are today, like this millennial business mogul.
So when I wrote my book, right, The Green Print, which is Turning Your Passions into Millions, right? I wrote that because of the question that you're asking me right now. And so many other women would ask me that. They was like, you're telling us that you're doing this, you're showing us you're inspiring us, but how did you actually do it, right? And one of my favorite chapters in that book is the noise. Like removing all of the noise so that you can see exactly what your purpose is and you can see exactly how you're going to get there and how God is going to take you there, right? So, for instance, one of my first investors into my seed round was my college boyfriend's mother, who is a nurse. Correct. So let me tell you how that happened, right? Just the universe. So I went to see him one time. We was already broke up, but we were still good friends. So I went to see him, and I wasn't telling nobody what I was doing. But I finally had my package, my prototype. This is before I'm in Walmart, etc. So I was just with him one day, and he saw it in the truck. He's like, what's this? What you got? And I was like, oh, this is what's going on, right? So me and him, of course, we have beef and love. So you can talk to him and you can't talk to him. But when he was like, man, this is really dope what you're doing. I like what you're doing. I didn't know that he went back to his mother, who was a nurse, and they are business owners as well. They have Ethiopian ties. So, they own hair salons, etc. And he went to her and told her, but I didn't know this. So one day I'm walking and she wears, so what is it? The hijab? She's Muslim.
The hijab.
The hijab. Yeah, she wears that. And one day we're walking in Target and we passed by each other, me and his mom, and she's like, Davielle. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And she was like, Jordan told me what you're doing. I want to help you with that. Literally, just like that. So it's having the right people in your life, knowing who to share that information with, and letting the universe do its work. So the number one thing is finding your purpose. Once you find that purpose, then the universe will give it to you. And then how much hard work you put into it is what's the output you're going to get. So when I'm like, when what I was doing, I was having Walmart $1 million contracts coming into my $1 million POs coming into my cash flow system every month, but still running at a zero balance.
Tell us how that is
correct.
Because that speaks to your resilience too, because you're past that hump.
Correct.
So talk a little bit more. You just said a whole lot in that. I knew you were going to give me a lot of context here.
Yes.
Talk about that, like running at a $0 balance. Talk about that.
So when you start off a company as a Black woman, you have to make somebody believe you 10 times more than you would have to make anybody else. Like if you were white, right? And we don't come from a lineage where we have these families that just have $30 million in their account, as others do.
Yeah.
We just don't have that in our society. So when I'm working to get it done, I'm like, I just have to get it done. So if Walmart pays me $1 million, right? Okay, which they're not paying up front. They're paying once you deliver, once you sold, then you get a check, right?
Okay.
So I got to put the money up front first.
Oh.
Yes. Then they sell it. They get their money. Then they pay you your money.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how it works. So imagine me, a young Black girl, I'm just starting, and I literally have to ask investors, so my ex's mama, to put money into my company so that I can put the money, invest in the pre-fund of the product, wait to get the money back from Walmart, and then your company is growing now, right?
Right.
So you need more money every month. You need more money. Then you're running at a zero balance. So if I put all this money out there and I'm waiting, I go look in the company account, there's no money in there.
Right.
But in 90 days, it's going to be some money in there.
Right.
So, right. So I'm running around taking pictures. Oh, she a CEO, everything. And I'll be there like, damn, can I even buy lunch today? Am I going to eat today? And then you've got payroll and you got everything. You got to make sure all your employees get paid first.
Yep.
So, you go through a long time of doing that to where you just like, I just can't like throw my hands up and give up. So you just got to continue to find a way to get it done. You have to continue to find a way to get it done.
You said on another podcast that I was listening to you said that there was a time where you had thought about quitting and then you were like, if not me, then who?
Yes.
Speak, because I got chills when I was like, well, shit, I feel the same way. Like in terms of like what I'm passionate about, like speak to that like a little bit more, because I think that there's something to that when you talk about like finding your purpose, because there's a lot of talk around like find your purpose, find your purpose, find your person, find your purpose. And I think that is like a signal or a marker for when you know that you have found that thing.
Right. So everybody's purpose is not going to be building $1 billion business. It's not going to be building $1 trillion business. It is certain people who are chosen to do that because God knew they had the capacity to do it. He knew that they were going to stand firm in when it gets tough. He knew that they were going to be able to handle it so that they can continue with the purpose, right? But when you are a CEO and you're living and you're dating and you're loving and you're doing all of these things, there's the human aspect that comes in, right? To where now you're not working in your purpose. You just work, you're mechanicking, you're a robot, you're moving in the world as a human. So you lose it. You lose sight of who you are and where you're going. Because now you're trying to love somebody and now y'all breaking up and now you're doing this and you're trying to, and this is a woman, It's a woman. And I also want to talk about how the human body, like because I'm in science and because of biology, I know the capacity of the human body, the effects that these things have on the human body, which then long-term affect you, right? So as a woman, no matter how driven you are, you still are a nurturer. You still are a lover. You still want to do that 100%. So it's almost like this. Do I nurture, love, build a family, grow, or do I build this $1 trillion business? So you fight with that constantly. And at the same time, you found yourself just overwhelmed. You overwhelmed and you just like, I'm just giving all of this up. Like, I have degrees. I can go work in a hospital. I'm going to be okay. You literally be thinking about that. And then you sit back and you like, once you get out of that depression and once you finally see yourself, you be like, but what about all this that I've done? All the people that I've inspired, all the women that I help? If I just stop, who's going to do that now?
Right.
Who's going to do that now? I'll be a failure to all of these women. I have to help them.
It's a weight.
It's
that comes
it's a
with
weight
it.
that comes with it.
I just want to acknowledge that, because oftentimes I think that people confuse when they see a woman, and a Black woman that has been as successful as you, they assume that you have lost like the nurturing side.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And what you just said was, I've never lost it. Maybe I have placed it to the side because I feel so driven when it comes to like this purpose and this passion that I have. How difficult is it as a woman to find that balance between nurturing, because it's like inherent, it feels very innate to us, but also knowing that God says, I have a purpose and a calling on your life, and I need you to pursue this.
And that's what's important for people to understand. A lot of people are just constantly looking for love, as in a romantic love or a romantic love or a physical love. But there's so much more fulfillment and love in life. We can have those at different phases in our life, but that's why it's so important when you use like capacity. I'm like, well, I really want her to show me the capacity because, we are struggling.
We're gonna
here. Right. So, but it's the fulfillment that you get in life, right?
Yep.
So some people are looking for the fulfillment that comes from another human being.
Right.
But I have fulfillment from my passion and my purpose and my love for what I do.
It's an intrinsic thing.
Yes, it's like I'm fulfilled from that. I love it. I have enough love. So it's like, why sometimes do I want to deal with the human aspect of another person who brings love? They bring love, but they also bring controversy and trauma and drama. And it takes me away from my purpose.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm fulfilled
I'm
already.
Ready to,
yes.
You giving me permission. She told me I had permission, y'all, to coach her. If I get too deep, all you got to do is just send me a little signal.
But listen, I have to say this real quick about why I'm here. Because when I went to the Easter egg hunt and when I met you, right, we was both just doing our thing, and then we finally got time to get to each other and talk. And I met you, of course, through my bankers, and he told me, he's like, this woman right here, she really knows what she's talking about. Somebody you need to meet. But we was just doing our thing, and then finally you came over and we started talking, and immediately I just felt so safe to speak to you, right? But secondary, you adjusted me in a second. I was like, listen, I'm done with this situation, X, Y, Z. I just not doing it anymore. I blocked it all out of my life. And she's like, well, you just can't do that. And she was the first person. And, as a CEO and a mogul and a big, powerful woman, it was two people that challenged me. And it was my 5-year-old kid who don't care nothing about who I am. She's going to tell me what she wants. And then it was you. You was like, no, this ain't how you do this. And I was like, so you mean I ain't got everything right and figured out? And he was like, no, it's a better way to get it done. And I was like, oh, I need to talk to her more.
Okay. So you tell them, because I think this is a great, because so many women struggle with this, and I talk to them, like so many women struggle with them. And I'm going to be honest, I may be a little bit biased because I'm like, there's no way that Davi has done what she's been able to do. And when it comes to the relationship aspect, that she can't do that either. So tell them, as we start to talk about like this, how many times have you been engaged?
I've had 7 rings.
7 rings. So she ain't got no problem finding no man, y'all. That's not her issue.
No.
So that's not her issue.
No.
7 rings.
Yes.
7 rings. You never said I do.
Never said I do, no.
And I think we understand why, because I'm not letting anybody get in the way of this passion, this purpose. But yet I know that I'm still a woman. Like, you're not trying to shy away from that feminine side of you.
I still have those needs. I still have those wants.
Right.
But
what's the need and the wants?
The need is the companionship, the partnership, the Bonnie and Clyde. Like, you really want somebody who is legally under contract by a marriage license to hold your secrets, to do, like, you really want that.
Yeah,
like, if we got to go do some stuff, it's like, you can't testify against me, I can't testify against you. I want that in a person, somebody who's going to lift me up when I'm down, somebody who you can just divulge everything to, and you're not being judged. And at the same time, y'all can have love and just build wealth together and all of those things. Like, that's what you want.
I appreciate that so much because most women that are in your position, I think that we take the other route and we feel like we have to show our strength, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised again for where you are because that's a sign of vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that I want these things too. However, trying to figure out how to get those things while also having this thing over here is difficult for me. So when you hear me say capacity, Davi, like what does that mean to you?
Capacity to me, again, I have to go back to the science and the biology, right?
Okay.
It's what can I take without me going into overload?
Okay.
What can I handle that does not send my body into fight or flight?
Okay. Okay, so when you talk about fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building this passion and this business that you have built, how many times have you been in fight or flight?
I mean, I probably was in fight or flight this morning.
Okay.
I might have was in it an hour ago. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it is so triggering and it is so hard and it is so taxing on a human that you have to choose the capacity.
Okay. I'm with you. And you just give me a nice way to slide right on in there. So I say capacity is about growing to be able to handle more.
Correct.
Like I always tell people, they say, like, it's a cup. It's a cup. And if you fill it up, it's going to overflow. Don't use that. I think about it as a balloon and don't get into like it's going to pop type of thing. Because if you have the capacity, we're not talking about it popping. But when you talk about this fight or flight mode, right? And knowing that you have been able to accomplish something that has so much meaning and substance, right? So your body, you have put your body through all of this stuff that you said, and now you have Femi Secrets that has substance, it has meaning, it has purpose, is well known all over the world. How do you then think about capacity when you see the end of it, the final product of some of the challenges that you've had to endure to get to this side?
How do I see the capacity? What do you mean by that?
So you said that probably was in fight or flight mode this morning,
Correct.
right? As a CEO, as a boss that's running this.
As a mother?
Yep, as a mother,
yes.
Right. And you talked about as it relates to relationships, right? It's like, I don't have the capacity for that. Like all of the drama that comes
Correct.
with that, right? But you're also saying that as a mom, as a CEO, drama comes from there. However, I've attached, there's meaning, there's substance behind there. But you also gave me a definition about meaning and substance when you have like your Bonnie and Clyde. How are you weighing them, I guess?
Weighing them as which one is more important to me or how am I facilitating it?
Both. Which one is more important to you?
So the way I choose which one is more important to me is the one that is most fulfilling to me.
Okay.
And it is not. So I always tell people like it's the ROI, right?
Okay.
It's the return on investment.
Okay.
What are you getting? So I know if I put in X amount of dollars and time in the Femi Secret, this is what's going to happen. It's no other outcome but success.
So you're betting on yourself.
Zero.
And in a relationship, you have to bet on yourself and somebody else.
Correct.
And there are no guarantees.
You don't know what kind of return on investment you're going to get. If you invest into that, you could just lose it all. They could just
But that's my point.
Wake up one morning and be like, oh, I'm done with this. And that whole investment of X amount of years, X amount of time, X amount of dollars is gone.
Got it. Valid point. I got you. I hear you loud and clear. But if you go back from day one, before Femi Secrets was even what it was, like, are there any guarantees in life?
I would say that there is a guarantee in life. And I also talk about this in my book. There's no pinnacle or there's no level of money or there's no level of trophy or anything that says you've made it or you succeeded. Nothing can say that. But when you've given your all 100% to something, you've dedicated, you've done everything in your power. When I'm ready to give up and stuff is too hard, I really say, have I done all I can do?
Okay.
And once I say, have I done all I can do? And if I say I've done all I can do, then that's done. Whether I lose or win, that is a success.
I would agree.
So that's
How does that not translate over into the other side, like the nurturing the woman aspect? Like, so when you say, like, I've been engaged 7 times, right? If I've been engaged 7 times, when you walk away, do you ask yourself that same question, like,
have I done all I can
all
do?
that I can do?
Yes.
Okay, how do you define it?
I ask that before I walk away.
Okay.
Have I done all I can do? And once I've done that, has it gotten me to where I want it to be?
Okay.
Which is successfully happy in a nurturing, positive relationship.
Okay. How do you define the have I done all that I can do? On both, it can be professional or purpose.
Have I done all that I can do? So, in business, it's strategy. You building a strategy, right? And so you got to have that strategy written out. You got to have it everywhere. You got to understand what you have to do to get there. And, business is the same thing. Life is going to throw you a monkey wrench. So how are you going to pivot when that monkey wrench is thrown? And have you done all you can do in that space? So, for example, when Walmart and Target started, I didn't have the investors that I needed. They started holding my money back. I was like, how can I do this without giving up? Have I done all I can do? No, you have not done all you. Have you sat down with 1,000 investors? Have you went to this? Have you pitched? So you have not done all you can do. So in these situations where it comes to relationship and living, have you done all you can do? So I'm thinking like right now, it's kind of like answering my own question. Like my current relationship is like, what is the next thing? Do we go to therapy?
Okay.
Or do I just deem this person as somebody that is just not good for me and I just walk away? Which is, I'm focusing on the latter.
You have valid points. You have very valid points. But you just introduced something different. You said, do I try therapy? Like in the past, like have you, when you walked away from those engagements, right? Did you try therapy in any of those situations? Okay. Because I hear what you're saying from the business.
And a couple of the guys have asked me specifically, do you want to go to therapy? Can we do therapy? I have to say this, right? So one of them, I said, I'm going to do therapy. Like by myself, I'm going to do separate. You're going to do it. So I get on.
You driving the strategy though still.
No, he said it.
Okay.
He said we going to both do therapy, yes.
But you wanted y'all to do it individually.
Correct.
Okay.
I wanted individual therapy first because at the end of the day, I seriously believe that couples therapy is for, you got to at least be engaged or at least be married. I believe that because I was like, I'm not investing all of this into somebody that I'm not going to spend the rest of my life with.
Okay.
So, but I went to therapy and I was like, you pay for, the guy was going to pay for everything. So I actually, listen now, I'm like booked in meetings and stuff all day, every day. So I was like, I'm going to block out this 2-hour window for this relationship stuff. And I'm going to speak to this therapist. So I get on the call with the man that he set me up with the therapist. And I was like, listen, my guy, he lives in Miami. I live here. I said, sometimes he disappears. I don't know what he's doing. And I'm just done with that. I'm not dealing with that. The therapist literally said, well, why don't you just let him do what he's doing? And I was like, and what I'm going to do? And he was like, oh, just let him do what he's doing. You getting your needs met, he getting his needs met. You just let him do what he's doing. And I was like, oh, okay, bye. And I hung up and I went right back to Femi Secrets. So it was literally like more of a waste of my time than anything.
I could see that. But I would say, I think that part of success, right? Having success is just because I know that you're a woman of faith in God too, but wanting to control that outcome, like that outcome. And we know that all of our experiences, we learn and we grow. There are no mistakes. There was this quote that I remember when I went to become certified as a coach. And they introduced us to this foundational principle and said, you cannot make a mistake. And I was like, shit, I don't believe in that. Took me 2 years to like accept that into my life. And once I realized that I had accepted that you cannot make a mistake, it opened me up to like living, because I say there's no such thing as like reclaim time. And I say this because as a mental health professional, we operate from this model, prevention rather than intervention. And I think that what ends up happening is we confuse what prevention means, though. We take prevention as, I want to avoid all of the drama. I don't want that drama. I know I can bet on myself over here. I don't want that drama. Let me make sure that, you hear people say, for example, when it comes to raising children, right? It's like, make sure that you heal so that your children don't have to go to therapy. And I always tell people, like, you don't get to choose how your children respond to how you choose to be a mom, like what you expose them to, because we are all, that's the thing about the body. We don't know how it's all formulating, right? So when I think about prevention, I think about it, the prevention aspect is, do you support people in developing their capacity so that when life does throw whatever those monkey wrenches are, you're prepared for it? When you can really say, like, in this relationship, with the same confidence that you say when it comes to Femi Secrets and being a business, you can say, I really tried all that I could do, because it sounds like there's already a resistance, because I know I can count on myself. I have to depend on you on the other side. Like, you're not concerned about investors. Like, you don't really have to be, because you're already really driven. But I do have to decide, like once I've shown you that I'm here as a CEO, once I've shown you that I'm here, you know that the people are going to come, because people hear dollar. Like, they know the ROI. On the relationship side of it, it's a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more complicated in the sense of, you really don't know what you're going to get. Like, even if you give a person it's like raising your children. Like, we set them up for success. As my dad would say, you don't know what the hell them kids going to go off and do.
Right.
Same thing, but we bet on it because there's this unconditional love when it comes for our children.
Which is like that's a storage love, right? And it's that of the mind. But then you get into the what is it? Is the Euros type of love.
Oh, yeah.
Which is it's body. It's all physical. And so that's the thing, is like, when it comes to different type of love that you get from different people, it's literally a whole different part of your brain that's developing. The Euros love, the romantic love, the physical love, that's literally of the body. And it's like,
what's the worst thing that happens if you take your current relationship, if you go all the way with it? What's the worst thing that happens if it doesn't work out?
Okay, so here's what we have to know. As you experience things in life, your body literally have an effect to that, right? So when you are feeling like fear of change or something, you have an upset stomach. Like, your body is literally developing that fear, and it's manifesting. When you are in grief, you literally have chest pain. Like, you can feel it internally. So when you ask me what is the outcome of dealing with crazy people for X amount of years, death. Death is the outcome.
Okay.
Now, I've seen it happen. I've seen women be in long-term relationships with men, and they go to their grave trying to love these men, by stroke, by heart attack, by so many cancer. Cancer is literally a buildup of abuse and stress in certain cancers, and that's what happens. So I've seen that in my life.
So it's much more personal for you,
correct?
From that standpoint, because I do agree, but I would agree with you when you say like your body feels all of the stress, right? But it starts in your mind first, right?
Absolutely.
So
still the body, though. That's still the brain.
Right.
Yes.
But the mind is based off of what we think and what we believe.
Correct. To a certain extent, though.
What do you mean?
To a certain extent, because, again, your body is triggering these hormones that are going to come out when things happen. So no matter how much you want to confuse yourself to be like, oh, this man is good, he's an excellent man. But when you wake up in the middle of the night with that gut feeling and you like, something's just not right.
Right.
And it's normally correct, and it's your body triggering that.
So that's another strength of yours. You trust your intuition. Let me ask you another question. If you think of the women that have come before you, what makes you different?
I'm logical.
Okay.
I'm logical.
Okay.
And when I say logical, and I'm like a numbers girl, right? So I'm looking at everything statistically and logically. Okay. And not from a point of my heart and my emotion.
And
correct.
Not necessarily heart space.
I'm not coming from an emotional place. I'm always coming from a heart place.
Okay.
I mean, from a
From a head
mind
place.
place, a head a place, a logical place. And so I'll never forget my mom, who's extremely smart, and she's the reason why I am the way I am today. But I'll never forget one time I made this massive decision in my life in front of her, and she was telling me, you got to do the right thing and just do this anyway. No matter how it's infected, you're doing the right thing. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to, and it's not going to work out for me. And she sat back and she said, I wish I was as smart as you when I was your age to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And it's just that's who I am. So that's what makes me different, and in business as well. I know how to separate my emotions from logical. I can literally sit there and adjust myself and be like, that decision you made was emotional. You need to fix it and go back and make the right decision.
So when you say that you're making an emotional decision, how do you know?
You know, because you are making it from a place of feeling, from a place of anger, or from a place of, need or want that's going to feel an emotional need versus what is the best thing to do, right? So it's, for instance, speak of it from a company standpoint. So if I have a person in my company that, they might just not like me, or I might not like them because of whatever they got going on in their life or whatever they see going on in my life, but they putting out numbers. They're doing the job right. They're doing it correct. So it would be wrong for me to get rid of them because I don't like them.
Right.
But they're performing right. So I have to deal with that and make the logical thing that's going to take the company from A to B to C to D. And so it's the same thing I do in my relationships. It's like, am I making an emotional? Every decision I make to stay in these relationships is emotional. If it was logical, I would always be walking away because it just don't make sense. And one of the reasons
you're gonna have to tell me.
One of the reasons, one of the reasons is because of society right now, okay? We live in a totally different time. People are operating totally different, right? So it's like, because of the operation of people operating different, it's like it's making less and less sense to be in a marriage or in a relationship. Like Black people have a 75% divorce rate, literally. So it's like,
I would tell you that I think it's because of capacity, though. I still think that the mental health industry, especially for people like you and people that look like you and I don't think we don't want to lose anymore. Lose in the sense of we've been behind for far too long that we are going to have good mental health. And I think in the process, we don't really understand what mental health is, though. Good mental health, I always tell people that your mental health is not static. It's dynamic. It's something that has the ability to grow and evolve with you. So when you speak from a business standpoint, your mental health has been flexible. It's in order for me to do this thing and make this thing to get to this other thing, my mental health has to be flexible, because if it's not, you probably wouldn't be the person that you are today. And I say, even when it comes to relationships, or just any relationships in general, right? Your mental health has to be dynamic. I always tell people, how you think, feel, and behave, that's what your mental health is made of. How you think, feel, and behave, it has to evolve. Now, I'm not going to dismiss what you said, because when you say that I've watched women not necessarily stand up for themselves in a way that ended up serving them, that is very personal to you, right? So I'm careful and mindful to challenge that, because there are a couple things that I would say from a therapy standpoint. It would be having to challenge and really recognize that you are not the woman that came before you. They've had some say in terms of how you've been shaped, which has served you. But at some point, you have to sit back and say, I'm really not those women that came before me. But
how do I challenge the statistics? How do I challenge the numbers? How do I challenge the fact that if you
challenge statistics already. You are in the 1% already.
This is true.
And then you're in 2% as private equity. Your life from the professional standpoint is a living blueprint that data is just data until somebody like you comes along and you challenge that, and now we have something different.
That is true.
So I do, especially from people that look like you and us, I take it very personal, like the way that mental health is explained to us, because I believe that if you want it, right, we deserve to get everything that we want and more.
Correct.
But if we don't understand that, the price for a meaningful life is discomfort, and I think that we probably will both agree on that, especially from the business standpoint. But it ties in our personal life too. If you think about when you became a mom, like those sleepless nights, like learning how to be a mom, and then every time that you look at your child, it's like discomfort came with that, and to me, it's no different in a relationship. Now,
very true. This is putting some light bulbs off in my head.
I'm being careful because I'm not going to dismiss what you said about people that have come before you, because it could be deeper, right? But when I think about like having good mental health, like there's going to be some discomfort involved when you talk about fulfillment. And I think that we have to know the difference between toxic versus just normal life challenges.
How do you decide when the discomfort is too much, unbearable, at a capacity level?
So let's talk about if something is toxic right off the bat, abusive, right? If someone is abusive, I think
explain abusive.
Okay. Physical. If you're physically abusive, right? That's toxic. I'm gonna tell you. So when people talk about gaslighting, I understand the concept of gaslighting, but it's like that guy that you said one of your fiancés where you're like, I don't know where you are. Can't nobody gaslight you in that sense, because you're not going to tell, I just called you or was trying to reach you and I couldn't reach you. You're not going to try to tell me that your phone was off or whatever, because I'm smart enough to know that, right?
Correct.
So I think that when we think about these terminologies like gaslit, can't nobody tell you what you know. Like, you're not going to convince me that I don't know what I don't know, right?
No, but it happens every day. Like, because of that emotional love standpoint, it literally gets in women's head, and they be like,
women's head. But I'm talking about you, because I've seen women like, that's what
they
I'm
just
saying.
be like, I know when I'm looking at this chair, this chair is blue, but since you told me it's red, and I love you, it's red. And
but that's not you. You're not that woman, though. There are a lot of women like that.
Here's the thing, and it's like when men meet me and they see me, and I only talk to men that's like educated, etc., because that's the only way we could possibly coexist.
Connect, right?
Correct. So they're super intelligent, super educated, but then they still try to do that to me. And I'm like, you gotta know that I'm not that girl. I'm way too smart, and you cannot try these things on me because I'm gonna see through it. But still, they try it on me.
What do you mean, like? They can't be trying to gaslight you.
Oh, gaslight everything.
They cannot be trying to tell you
everything
after all that you've done. Like, this chair is. They tell you this chair is blue, and you know it's black.
Yeah, literally tell me that something that I know 100% happened. They telling me that's not happening.
I mean,
and do you stay in a relationship with that person? Because they have positive.
I'm not gonna.
They have positive attributes. They do a ton of things that also make you happy. But I think it's like 50-50. They balance it out with negative drama, and it's 50-50 with positive like reinforcement.
I'm not gonna say yes or no, because there's not a lot of context there, right?
Correct.
So I'm not gonna say yes or no, because I know that when you have two educated people like that both like think that they're smart, you ain't never gonna tell me I'm wrong. Like,
both parties.
Both parties.
So how do you navigate that? How?
I think oftentimes you can't wait for the other person to grow.
You cannot wait.
No, you can't wait for the other person.
What can
to
you
grow.
do?
You grow.
Okay.
And
what happens if you outgrow the other person?
You were saying, what do you do when you are in a relationship and you have two smart people? Correct. And first thing that came to my mind was judgment, but I've given it a little bit more thought because you gave me a few seconds too.
Okay.
I think that in order to receive unconditional love, we have to be willing to give it without expecting anything in return. And that's hard.
Which is the agape love. That's what it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And what's on the other side of that could be a W or L.
So let me tell you what, and I know you're already gonna adjust me, but it's like when people go outside of what they said they were going to be or who they were going to do, or they do things to hurt me, it's like that unconditional love goes out the window for me.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, my love has conditions with it.
Very human. And I'm not. I
you know,
just respect your vulnerability like so much, because to come up here and be open for what you represent, like it just says a lot. Like it's a reminder that in order to achieve any type of success, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, and that's what you're doing. Because despite me having this success and walking away from these engagements, like I deserve a partner, and I know that I can have it because I've been able to do it. However, I'm trying to figure out how can I get out of my own way, if there is a way. And it starts with that, like having to be really honest with yourself and say, like, once you cause me any type of pain or it feels anything like hurt, I'm done. And I think about it.
And I give it a 3 strikeout rule. You know, I'm gonna give you 1 time, 2 time, and on the 3rd time you out. So it's not like just cold and cut, but it's like show me who you are a few times.
What do you mean when you say show me who you are? Because I'm married, I'm going on 12, 13 years. Mm-hmm. And I would say if my husband, if he took that same approach with me, we probably wouldn't be here today. And if I took the same approach with him, we wouldn't be here today either. But when I think about like what we have today, like I would go through it all over again. Like,
and that's huge. And here's the thing. If I ever, and my sister just called me the runaway bride, right? If I was ever to cross the threshold of being married, that would be different. I would be able to be like, I'm going to take these hits because this is my husband.
But there are barriers, though, even from the relationship standpoint. Because I've been dating my husband now since high school. Mm-hmm. When we graduated from college, I remember the day that we graduated from college, I was real mad at him. Mm-hmm. We got into an argument. I was getting ready. We were in Virginia at the time. I was getting ready to move here to Houston, and I was like, I don't know if I want to move here to Houston. Like, I'm just gonna start over fresh. And
this is prior to marriage.
Yeah, prior to marriage. Mm-hmm. And you know, just reflecting over it. One of the things that I think is the core. Who do you know that person to be? Because people are gonna fuck up. That's the truth. You don't know what that looks like, but people are gonna fuck. It's like the core. When you talk about like these core traits, like there's no, when it comes to I know that my husband, he still thinks he's smarter than me. Still thinks
my
he's
guy
smarter
just
than
told
me
me that last night that he's smarter than me.
He at this point, have it. You can have it, baby. You can have it. Because we have different definitions of what smart means. You can have it.
Right.
But at his core, like, I know that, like, he loves me. He loves our children. Like, he's going to protect us. He's like rocking and rolling, and maybe I don't agree with how he does things, but I think that that's what makes us like very different and unique in that sense. Like Quail got her way of doing things, Danny has his way of doing things, and I think ultimately what I've learned to accept is I ain't trying to be a man.
Right.
Like,
Never.
I'm really not. And I have to like step back and say, like, what does that look like? And sometimes it's like not trying to run everything, because I do have to, like, I want to run everything. Like,
so, but my thing is that, I just want this to be clear for women, is that we are not built to be men.
We're not.
We're not built to do the things that they can do. Like, this is going to sound so biased and so harsh, but when I go to a game and I see a woman refereeing, I'm pissed off.
Really?
Yes. And it goes around, you know. See, the difference with like impulse decisions.
Because you're acknowledging that God did not create us to be the same. Because I just thought about myself as a referee. I'm like, man, if I like this play, I might be like, dang.
Right.
It'd be all emotion. I ain't going back looking at the camera.
And literally for a man, all women be like, why he just can't get it, or why he just can't connect? Because he's not built to. Right. He don't have the estrogen to be like, I'm sorry.
But that is so powerful though, because you have so many women that say that like men are not emotionally available. Like, and I would probably tell you the same thing. However, I think that you start to it's not about settling, because I don't want to send that message, because I don't believe that you should settle for anything, but for who you become, when we talk about capacity in terms of who you become, and my husband, he's a little bit more private, but I'm going to share it anyway. The other day, his responsibilities are increasing, like on the job or whatever. And I told him, like, congratulations. And he was like, tell me congratulations when it looks like something different. And I said, no, I'm gonna tell you congratulations today, and I'm gonna tell you congratulations tomorrow. And, he just hearted it. But for me, that was like me extending like what I want back. To some degree, but I mean it. It's genuine. It's not like I'm doing this to see what you're going to give me back. But I think that as women, it's a lot of the times we're like, well, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this as a man. I think at some point you have to drop the roles and the titles, and that's what my husband used to always say to me, like, you can take the trash out. You take the trash out. Like today, I don't even take the trash out because he doesn't really care. But it's this idea that we have this expectation that things should be a certain way. And when it comes to relationship, marriages, or anything, it's like you have to make your own rules.
Of course.
You have to make your own rules. And when you start to make your own rules, you can shut out the noise, like you were saying before. And when you start to make those own rules, you can really lean in and find out, like, what are the things that really matter to me? Because a lot of the stuff that we're telling people that is toxic or harmful is not going to get you to the other side of what we're talking about, is that meaningful, that Bonnie and Clyde and all of those things that you were speaking to. And I think because I trust who you are, I think that you know what toxic is. It's, I got to go through this and I don't know what the outcome is because you have to be a willing participant. And that is the truth. But when you talk about from an emotional standpoint, I would say, I always tell people, let's keep it simple. Say the 6 basic emotions: anger, happiness, fear, disgust, sadness, and surprise. Right? If I could be really, really honest with you right now, on one side of your life, there's no fear. She's fearless. The other side, that's fear speaking. It's all fear. And when you...
Fear of what, though?
You don't get the outcome. You don't know what the outcome is.
So let me say this to the 7 ring thing real quick, right? So why have I been engaged 7 times? Why have I had 7 rings? Is because that is a requirement to have me in your life.
Okay.
So it's a requirement because I'm not going to do all these wife things without knowing that I'm going to be your wife.
Okay.
So that is a requirement that I have to have
so
first.
That's one of your strategies.
Correct.
Okay,
So
you're giving me new information.
It is a requirement for me to be like, because I know what I bring to the life of a man. I know what I bring to just people. Like, I can put you 4 friends in here that'll tell you how me being in their life has massively changed their life. I know the value that I bring to a human. So it's like, you're not just going to come use that up to your advantage and then you're not the person that I'm spending the rest of my life with. If you're not invested into me, I can't invest into you.
Okay, so you want a commitment.
Correct. Full commitment.
Oh my God. So the fact that you have men that are willing to even make that commitment. I don't know. When we first said like I do, and like it got like we were now husband and wife, that shit felt very serious. Like it's like we went from like cool over here to like, why all of a sudden is it so serious? And it's the title.
Yes.
It's the title. So it's almost like, do you give space though? Because if somebody is already making that commitment to say, I'll make that commitment to you because I see what I see in you. A man has probably already went to being your husband at that point, which means that they're wanting you to make adjustments.
Correct.
And
that's what we are right now.
That's what I'm saying. You haven't even officially, in your mind, you haven't officially crossed over there. But men, they take that shit very seriously.
You're saying once the ring is on my finger or once they decided?
Once they put that ring and they propose, like the commitment starts. It starts. Like, because they've already decided that I will say I do. It has started for them, which means that a shift has to start happening on your side. And the shift doesn't necessarily happen because this is more strategy for you.
So the shift definitely happens on my side as well. But see, I don't think men get to that shifting point until they put that ring on your finger. Do you agree with that or no?
What do you mean?
To the point where this is serious and I have to take it serious because this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
I guess you would have to define like what serious or what that shift means.
Just like what you were saying just now, men take it so serious when they put that ring on your finger. I'm saying that's the point. So. That's what I'm saying. And I don't think they take it serious until that happens, is my whole point.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I still think that relationships, like, it's the process. It's the journey. Like, I think that when you add in like what your strategy is, it makes it even more serious than like actually enjoying the person that you end up meeting.
So it's not that I'm necessarily like saying when we meet, you know what,
you're gonna have to put a ring tomorrow.
So what's happening is, as we date and they expect me to do more in the relationship, they have these expectations of me. My expectations are going to change. So, saying that, if I'm dating somebody and we, just slow rolling it, right. My expectations might not be there. But if they require all of my time, all of my love, all of my heart, all of my body, all of my soul, you're going to have to come up with it. And show me that you dedicated to me fully and wholly, like you want me dedicated to you.
I mean, I don't think that that's unfair.
Okay.
I don't think that that's unfair. And clearly it's working for you because you've had several people say, all right, I'm willing to do that. So the commitment is there, but the commitment comes with all of this, the blood, sweat, and tears that came with Femi Secret stuff.
So, but it's almost like here's what happens, right? So the commitment comes to me from the 7 engagements, etc. And then they're already like changing now. They're like, I want you, this is what I expect. I expect that omelet. No matter, when I clap my fingers, you should have an omelet because I put a ring on your finger.
They do.
Right.
They do.
So it's like, but we still not married. There is a difference.
I mean, whether you're married or not, right? They still gave because they made that commitment to say that I put the ring. So like use that omelet example because I heard you use it on the podcast. You said that was one of your an ex-fiance. Y'all were out traveling for a business trip. You told him that you were going to be working and he wanted an omelet and you make some good omelets and you didn't do it and then he took the ring back or whatever. Right. I do think that there is an expectation. Like, as much as we may not say it, we have a view of what we think a good husband is, and men have a good view of what they think that a woman is. But I think that the thing about capacity is there has to be a deep knowing in who you are when you cannot meet whatever your husband or your partner's expectations are right then and there. Because as a woman, going back to that nurturing aspect of it, we want to be able to nurture. We want to be able to nurture, even though we may not say it. That omelet, you probably didn't have a problem with it. It was just that you want it right now, and right now I'm busy and I'm focused on something, and I already told you what it was.
Correct.
So and to be expected, you respond different. Because if I think about every day, those are probably every day is like I don't think that my husband expects, because he always says this, like, I don't need you to cook for me. I can cook for myself. Like, he's very direct in that sense. But me knowing that he doesn't need me for that makes me want to do it. But I give you an example. A couple weeks ago, I was taking my braids out. And he was like, "Did you cook the dinner yet?" And I was like, "No, I'm taking my braids out." And he was like, "Well, I asked you if you said you were gonna cook dinner, and I'm taking my braids." Like. And then I was like, what the fuck? I'll go up and make it. It don't take me that long. And then I go back and do it. But the sense of fulfillment that I had with going to do that for him and knowing that I can then get back to business, that's what I think is the strength in women. Like, we really do have the ability to do it all. But I think it takes a strong...
taxing. It is taxing.
It's taxing only when...
Because here's the thing. When you add... and women who work and work at the capacity that I do, work at the capacity that you do. Now, we weren't made for that. We were literally made to capacitate our husbands and our children. So now you adding on this extreme capacity. Now me, it's to get to somewhere, a man who understands me and what I do. Like, I own X amount of patents.
Right.
Like sitting right here today, when I leave and go in my car, I could literally come up with the next $1 billion idea just because I'm thinking about it.
Right.
I'm not being traumatized.
Right.
I'm not in a space where I can't think and do
Right.
what I love to do. And when that's how it is for me, like that's really science. It's like
Right.
I'm really sitting in a space where I have to focus and concentrate, or I'm going to lose it.
Right.
Lose that space that I have.
It's fear on both sides, though, no matter how you look at it. It's fear that I don't know this outcome over here. And fear is, the other part of the fear is, even on this side, if I commit to you in the way that you want me to, and I already see like how you can be, I can end up losing this over here. So you can't, there's no win-wins in it for you to even challenge the way that you even begin to think about it, which is why I say you have to start address, whoever that therapist was, he was crap. Like,
Yeah,
he should
crap.
have not,
Correct.
he should have acknowledged you and validated you a little bit more in
Correct.
terms of, because it is very easy to work with somebody that is vulnerable. Like, those are the people that can grow by leaps and bounds.
Correct. So anytime I'm in the meeting with investors, right, my COO is there, my CFO is there. And my CFO, who is another woman, if I'm not in the meeting, she will always tell investors, I work with 100 CEOs. My COO say the same thing. They work with 100 CEOs. They say what makes Davielle different is that she is willing to learn and admit when she's wrong.
Yep.
And there's like every other CEO has all of this like ego and everything, and they can't do it. And that's how that's how they send companies to the ground. And it's almost like, because I always want to reach my full potential. And so I have to learn from other people to do that. You're never not learning. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that, I have it all figured out and nobody can tell me nothing.
Right.
And that's just not who I am. I'm a learner. I'm a student.
Right. Student and teacher. Because I've learned a lot.
And I want to, thank you. Yeah. And I want to point out how I always say that God is working in your purpose and the universe is working in your purpose, right? As I'm at this crossroad to this $1 billion business, this $1 trillion business, I'm also at the same crossover to my nurturing and my relationships and everything. I'm at the crossover point to where do I do the same thing? Do I repeat it and just be like, I'm done with this relationship? I'm going on to the next, going to get a new ring. Or do I be uncomfortable and do I suffer that discomfort that I do with my kid or my parents or my family? And the universe provided you.
Because I'm always going to, unless you give me something, some real depth, and you don't have to give me on this podcast, I'm going to tell you, go right back. Like, so, I don't know who do this, but I'm going to send her right back to you.
I want y'all to understand what I'm telling you about walking in your purpose and removing the noise, because it's like simply an invite from somebody else to go to that Easter event. Say, okay, I'm going to this Easter event because my child wants to have an Easter egg hunt, right? God used the tools to get you there. You want your child to be happy? Here, I'm going to bring you over here. This going to get you. You don't care about nothing else. But this little girl, she going to get you there.
Discomfort again.
Correct.
Because you ain't had to go there.
I didn't have to go.
Right. Exactly.
And then I'm not like an open person, so I don't really talk to a lot of people. So when me and you met, it was like, man, and then I'll talk to you a little while. I was like, okay, my child bothered me. I'm going to go over here. But I made it my business to go back and say, we have to talk again. We have to do lunch. We have to meet again. Because I felt it. And it's like, this is my purpose. And God saying, this is going to help you to get to the next level.
You know, your story is so different because you have a lot of women, they're like, there's pee in the pond. And for you to be able to get a man, like, I think it's important for people to see trailblazers, especially as Black women, like winning both personally and professionally. And to know that you don't struggle with getting a man, like I do, like if that's what you want, like I want you to have that, right? So I wasn't uncomfortable challenging because I'm like, she ain't struggling with getting a man. Like if she's able to do this on this side, like what is it? And then you gave me a little bit more context. I do think it's a little bit deeper, and I'll tell you once we get off of this podcast, but the same energy that you put elsewhere, you have to be willing to put that energy somewhere else.
Okay, but how do I have the capacity to do that?
You have the capacity because you've shown us already that you have the. You don't become Davielle Jackson without having capacity.
So you telling me just point blank that I have the capacity?
Yeah, you have the capacity
right now that I have the capacity to do it.
For some of the people that there are levels to this capacity thing, like. There are some people that don't even understand what the fuck I'm talking about when I say capacity. Correct. You were like, immediately like you got it. You like you're onto
Right, but
something
see,
when you
this
talk
is what I
about
need you to
capacity.
understand about that. Like when we have blogs, right? We have to write blogs and everything. A lot of people was coming to me and saying your blogs are way too educational.
Right.
Right. People, like when I started my product, I was in Walmart. The box said menstruation. 80% of people didn't know what the hell menstruation was.
Oh.
They just know a period, a cycle, that time of the month. They don't know what the medical term menstruation means, a menstrual cycle. A lot of people don't even know that. So there's like, you got to get that off the box. Put it on the back, but you got to put it somewhere that people understand this is a period.
Okay.
And for you, your information is so high level.
I refuse to go.
No, you can't go down.
I refuse to.
But that's what you do. You do executive training.
Yeah.
So it's for somebody like myself to be able to comprehend.
Exactly. Because somebody told me on TikTok yesterday, I guess that was my first troll, they had said, you need to give more practical insight. I'm not going to tell you how.
So it's more about your target, right?
Yeah.
It's your target audience. So if you want to target the masses, then you have to dumb it down.
Right.
If you want to target a certain people, correct, then you know your audience and you know your demo.
The people... this is a judgment, but I think that the masses are the people that never really walk into their greatness, whether we're talking about personal or professional, because they have so much information that's limiting them and they don't know how to silence the noise.
And you know how many, that's the 99 percentile.
Yeah.
So you know you're targeting the 1%.
I don't, okay. That's not what I'm looking for. Or the people that even want to become the 1%ers.
So I want to say this before we end, because this is the reason why I want to have you on the Femi Secrets app, right? Because we are going to target women like myself that'll be able to understand. And one of the biggest drivers of fibroids and cancer, heart, all of it is massive stress, right? Stress will drive a woman into debt, literally. And as the Black women who are kind of like running the households right now, we have massive stress. And so on the Femi Secrets app, like no other app, I will have you and other mental health professionals that will be there to specifically target the Black women and help them navigate capacity. So that they don't just stress out and fall out.
Yeah. I'm here for it. Well, she ended it for it. So she's the boss that she is. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. You know where you can find me, Raquel Hopkins. I am Success is Complicated on all social media platforms. Davi, tell them where they can find you.
I am the Vagina Saver on Instagram and, of course, FemiSecrets.com and Femi Secrets on Instagram, Facebook, etc. You can find me there.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.